Thank you all for attending the Gratitude and Gardening workshop. In this workshop, we're going to focus on the health benefits of gardening. We're also going to highlight a couple of on-campus spaces, some spaces like the Arboretum Public Garden, another space called the Good Life Garden, where staff, students, and volunteers grow food and campus resources called the Pantry that provides healthy, fresh food available to all UC Davis students. Before we dive into the workshop, we'd like to thank our host, the Manetti-Shrum Museum of Art. The Manetti-Shrum Museum of Art is committed to being a third-party space where conversations and connections can happen. The museum offers Interact, which is its Zoom webinar platform, and staff resources to amplify BIPOC voices through a virtual gathering that's hosted and presented by campus community groups. The museum can co-sponsor and promote the program or gathering as requested. And to learn more about the Interact program, you can visit their website at manettishrum.ucdavis.edu, which will be linked in the chat. This workshop is going to be officially 1 hour long, and during this, we're going to cover all the topics that I just previously mentioned. We're also going to have an optional additional 15 minutes at the end for any questions you may have or discuss the topics with us. Again, that's completely optional, so you don't have to feel obligated to stay. And if you have any questions during the workshop, please use the Q&A box and switch it to participants and attendees so we can all chat with one another. Lastly, we're so grateful that you're all attending our workshop, and we hope you enjoy.
So now before we get started, we're going to go over our UC Davis land acknowledgement. So we're going to go over this land acknowledgement statement without edit. So for those of you who may not know, this statement formally recognizes and pays respects to the Indigenous people who once lived where UC Davis stands today. So it's intended to raise awareness regarding the enduring relationship between Indigenous people and the land. For thousands of years, this land has been home to the Pudwin people. Today, there are 3 federally recognized Pudwin tribes: Cachel-Dihi Band of Wintoon Indians of the Calusa Indian Community, Quetzal-Dihi Wintoon Nation, and the Yocha-Dihi Wintoon Nation. The Pudwin people have remained committed to the stewardship of this land over many centuries. It has been cherished and protected as elders have instructed the young through generations. We are honored and grateful to have you here today on their traditional lands. So now, before we get into this workshop, we're going to go over our workshop schedule. So starting off, we will do some introductions and then go into NatureRx and its benefits and define that for you all, and then go over some resources on campus, such as the Good Life Garden and the Salad Bowl Garden, as well as the Pantry, and then dive into a little bit about food insecurity. And then we'll next close out this workshop with some closing remarks. And as Roya previously mentioned, we do have that additional 15-minute optional Q&A portion at the end. So we have some workshop learning objectives that we hope you come away with at the end of this workshop, knowing we hope that you have a better understanding of NatureX and what it is, its definition, and also how to practice it within the UC Davis Arboretum and Public Garden, and implementing that into your daily life as well. And then we also hope that you guys can identify some campus resources such as Each Aggie Matters and the Pantry, and gain a better understanding of the term of food insecurity.
Allow me to introduce the Gateways Outreach Internship Program. So the Gateways Outreach Internship is one out of 12 different internships offered by the Learning by Leading program. Through Gateways Outreach Internship, UC Davis students have learned to create and implement large-scale, meaningful virtual events, like the one we're all at right now, to promote wellness through NatureRx and promote sharing our love of nature remotely. We would like to take this time to introduce Anita, our Gateways Outreach Coordinator, who will be moderating the chat box.
So now, seeing as we are part of the Gateways team, we'd love to introduce ourselves and our favorite outdoor activity. So my name is Michelle Garcia, and I go by she, her pronouns. And my favorite activities to do outside are kayaking, hiking, and trail running. I personally love trail running at the Puda Creek trails. I think it's just so beautiful, and I try to go at least once a week just to get outside and get some exercise.
My name is Roya Samani. I go by she, her pronouns. And my favorite outdoor activity is hiking or walking at nature preserves, especially in the morning or at sunset when it's really serene. And I also like painting or coloring outside, either at the park or my own backyard.
Hi everyone, my name is Mariah Padilla. I go by she, her pronouns, and my favorite way to get out in nature is to go out and walk my dog. I also love going to the beach, having picnics, and watching sunsets.
Hi everyone, my name is Francesca Torres, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. And my favorite way to get out into nature is going to the beach and walking the trails in the Davis community, especially the Arboretum and public garden. I also like to take nature photography of flowers and landscapes of the ocean as well. So I'll be starting off by introducing the UC Davis Arboretum and Public Garden. It spans the campus's 5,300 plus acres and includes the historic Arboretum, a living museum comprised of demonstration gardens and scientific collections, as well as the Puda Creek Riparian Reserve, which is a rare stream and grassland ecosystem managed for teaching, research, wildlife, and habitat protection. So I wanted to highlight some places in the Arboretum and Public Garden. So this first image is the Arboretum Terrace Garden and Lois Crow Patio. The second image is the Arboretum Teaching Nursery. And this image represents the Arboretum Gateway Garden. And this image is the Australian Collections. So most of these gardens have exhibits that teach visitors about the plants, people, and history of the spaces. Downloadable PDFs of the exhibits can be found on our website. Anita, our moderator of the chat, will post the link. So the collections consist of 22,000 trees and plants from California and countries with similar summer dry climates across the globe, including Australia, South Africa, and the Mediterranean. I recommend writing down which collections interest you so that next time you visit the Arboretum and Public Garden, you can aim to visit these locations. Here is the link to a map of these locations. Once you download it, you can print it out and circle the places you want to go to make your next visit easier. As I mentioned before, the plants are organized in a series of gardens that are representative of various geographic areas, plant groups, or horticultural themes. Anita will drop another link in the chat that takes you to a page on the website that contains links to get a preview of the demonstration and scientific collections. So as you can see on the slide, you can pick from many of these locations and learn more about them. The Arboretum and Public Garden also includes the Puda Creek Riparian Reserve, a natural riparian and grassland ecosystem that runs along the southern edge of the Davis campus. The campus uses the reserve for teaching and research purposes, wildlife and habitat protection, and also community engagement, as you can see on the slide. For more information on the reserve, Anita has dropped a link in the chat. So as an undergraduate student at UC Davis, I have used the UC Davis Arboretum and Public Garden to take walks and get a chance to practice mindfulness. In my experience, I was able to see wildlife such as bunnies, turtles, and ducks, and the beautiful vibrant plants that surround the place. This place gives me a quiet place to think when the world can be so loud. More information about the Arboretum is at the west end of it. It's level and most easily accessible to wheelchairs and people with limited mobility. There are paved pathways from the east end of the Arboretum Davis Commons area to the Redwood Grove and Mondavi Center for Performing Arts. The wooden decks of the Wyatt Deck are also being renovated and the project should be completed by winter 2022. We also offer PDFs of our educational exhibits for visitors with limited mobility, which you can check out on our website. So even during these unprecedented times, the UC Davis Arboretum and Public Gardens outdoor locations remain open to the public 24 hours a day, every day of the week, with free parking on the weekends. For more information on COVID-19 safety in the Arboretum, a link to the website will be included at the end of this presentation. Roya, What is your favorite thing to do at the UC Davis Arboretum and Public Garden?
My favorite thing is during the weekdays to bring my laptop and my work outside, sit at like Spafford and get a little work done. And then on the weekends, I like to bring my friends and we usually like have picnics there too.
Yeah, sounds fun. So we want to know what you all do, like would like to do in the UC Davis Arboretum and Public Garden. So you can put in the chat ideas of what you want to do there or activities you've done in the past. And while you're answering this, Roya will take it next.
So now I'm going to talk about the Learning by Leading program. The program provides undergraduate students with real-world experience to address the Earth's most important environmental issues, such as environmental sustainability, rehabilitation, and literacy issues that all relate back to the Arboretum Public Garden. And the Learning by Leading program also offers students with the ability to gain highly transferable leadership and team building skills while also improving campus outdoor spaces and positively impacting our planet's environment. So now Mariah is gonna give us our break.
Hi everyone, so we hope you all enjoyed getting to a little bit about each of us and also about the UC Davis Arboretum and Public Garden and the Learning by Leading program. Right now, we will have a short 2-minute stretch break, and we encourage you all to relax and try some of the stretches that you see here on the screen if you feel comfortable doing so. We also will be playing some music in the background for all of you to enjoy. And as you stretch, we'd also like you all to tell us what's your favorite activity that connects you to nature. It can be anything from opening a window to get more fresh air or something exciting, a little more exciting like hiking. Put your answers in the chat box and make sure that you switch to attendees and presenters so that we can all see your responses.
Without even knowing, you guys have all been practicing Nature RX in your own lives, and every activity you mentioned is a Nature RX activity. So pretty much Nature RX is a body of research and programs that explore connection between nature and human health and well-being. The benefits of Nature RX and spending time in nature is an improved cognitive function and ability, improved ability to concentrate, reduce stress, improve social connection, and just an overall sense of well-being. Some easy Nature RX practices that you can all incorporate into your daily routine is doing homework outside, taking a walk, listening to your favorite music outside, and especially visiting the UC Davis Arboretum Public Garden. Through Nature RX, you can also gain a deeper connection to your environment. Since the environment is inseparable from our physical and mental well-being, there are ways that you can implement Nature RX into your life. Nature RX is a form of self-care, and we're collaborating with our friends over at Each Aggie Matters since they're dedicated to uniting and educating the campus community for the UC Davis mental health movement. Each Aggie Matters have been kind enough to share some of their resources and self-care tips with us. In the chat, we're going to be linking a self-care plan sheet. You can all take it home and fill it out, and it's a good way to check in with yourself and stay on top of your own mental health. Another way to implement Nature RX is to come to the Arboretum Public Garden and journal or fill out the self-care plan, and you can enjoy the scenery while you do it. And as students, we're all constantly under stress, so we know how important it is to actually take time to take care of yourself. So we're also going to include a link for the mental health resources that are available at UC Davis. So feel free to save this and share these resources with your friends. Another way that you all can incorporate Nature RX is to start gardening. Francesca, what's your favorite plant to grow or plant that you want to grow in your future garden?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Roya. So a plant I would like to grow is a strawberry plant. I would like to plant it right outside my apartment and build like a little fence around it to keep out the raccoons and other squirrels. But yeah, I hope to do this in the future to grow my own strawberries so I can make stuff with it in the future.
I've always wanted to grow berries. I'm really thinking of like growing a blueberry plant maybe. We also want to open that question up to all of you. So in the chat box, let us know if you like to garden, if you have any favorite plants that you enjoy gardening, or if you want to plant in the future. Indoors or outdoor gardening has a lot of beneficial effects. Container and kitchen gardening is a great way to garden when you have limited space. Studies have shown that gardening can improve your sense of community, reduce mood disturbances, and improve mental health. It also acts as a stress reducer, and in overall, it can improve your physical health by reducing the symptoms that are associated with chronic illnesses. Overall, having access to nature prevents various health issues that we face in today's society, and gardening is just a form of nature RX that improves your physical, psychological, and social health altogether. So, an accessible nature spot on campus that can act as a stress reducer is the Arboretum Public Garden. So, we all recommend you stopping by anytime you're on campus. When growing a small garden, I started off with herbs like basil in my windowsill because it's really easy to keep up with. It adds nice indoor greenery, and you can add them into your own cooking dishes. So you can all have a successful planting experience. I added some tips. The top tip is to make sure to prioritize watering. Water the soil before you start planting because it reduces water loss. Another thing is to apply a 2 to 4 inch layer of mulch because that can also reduce water loss. You can also continuously prune and remove excess foliage. And the last tip is to plant in the morning because that reduces heat stressors on the plants. If you guys want more tips on gardening, we're going to put a link to the Arboretum Public Garden website for more gardening tips. And if you don't have space or the ability to garden at home, you can come to the Arboretum Public Garden and visit the Salad Bowl and the Good Life Garden on campus. And Francesca is now going to speak more in detail about these garden spaces.
Okay, so I'll be discussing the Salad Bowl Garden first. So it was started in 2008 and it's a garden that is run by students that contains produce that can be picked by anyone. It is located outside the Plant and Environmental Sciences building and is used by the campus community to pick their salad and eat fresh food while at campus. For more information on this garden, Anita has dropped a link in the chat. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, the ability to pick your own produce has been suspended for the moment, but will resume in the future. I personally have sat outside the Plant and Environmental Sciences building, waiting for one of my labs to start, and although eating from this garden is suspended at the moment, I still think it's a peaceful and beautiful area to sit down. You don't need to eat from this garden to enjoy it. I like to stop in the middle of my day to observe the plants and just be grateful that we live on a planet where rich food grows in the ground to nourish us. This is a strategy I use to center myself on a stressful day. Mariah, what is your favorite fruit or vegetable? And do you grow it yourself?
Thanks for asking, Francesca. So my favorite fruit right now, I would say, are apples. And while I don't grow them myself right now, in the past, I do remember that growing up, my siblings and I would visit my grandmother's house and we would pick apples from her apple tree at our house. So it does have some fond memories for me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Mariah. So, we would like to know what's your favorite fruit or vegetable. And if you grow it yourself, please feel free to share in the chat. And while you're answering this question, I will show you on the next slide a map of where the Plant and Environmental Sciences building is. So, as you can see, it is by the Memorial Union and the bus station terminal on campus. Next, I'll be talking about the Good Life Garden. So, the mission of the Good Life Garden is to expose and educate a wide audience to the relationship between good food and good health. The Good Life Garden's edible landscape features organic and sustainably grown vegetables, herbs, and flowers, accompanied by food and health educational signage that is variable depending on the season. So, the Good Life Garden was started in 2008 and is located in the courtyard of the Robert Mondavi Institute for Wine and Food Science. Students in the internship Learning by Leading Edible Landscaping program in the past have maintained the plots of land to harvest and donate the vegetables to the pantry. The Learning by Leading Edible Landscaping program have a goal to make sure that food grown on campus gets to the people and programs that need it the most, such as the pantry. For those of you that don't know, the Pantry is a student-run organization that has the goal of making sure students are not in a position to go without necessities due to financial reasons. With the Good Life Garden donating to the Pantry and making fresh food available on campus, this garden is vital for our UC Davis campus community to receive fresh natural produce to maintain a healthy, balanced diet. You can click on the link in the chat for more information about the Good Life Garden. So the Good Life Garden's participation with the Pantry is very important to help make sure students struggling from food insecurity get the fresh produce that will benefit their diets. This is a very special collaboration, knowing that the fresh produce they are receiving came from the university they are attending. The Arboretum and Public Garden is able to provide students with a place where students can immerse themselves in nature and also get fresh food, both that contribute to one's mental health. So this is another map that shows the location of the Good Life Garden, and Anita is circling it with her mouse. So next, I'll be talking about the pantry and food insecurity. So the U.S. Department of Agriculture defines food insecurity as a lack of consistent access to enough food for an active, healthy life. The stress of worrying about where to find your next meal can negatively affect one's physical and mental well-being. The Pantry is an on-campus resource that strives to reduce the impacts of food insecurity by providing community members with, nutritious produce at no cost. We'll learn about their mission to ensure that no student has to miss a meal or live without basic necessities. We are excited to have a representative from the Pantry who will be speaking next. I will let her introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Nancy. I use the pronouns she, hers, and I'm here from the Pantry. This year I'm working as the External Affairs Manager, so I'll just be talking a little bit about the Pantry today, and feel free to ask me questions throughout. All right. So if you haven't heard about us before, we're an entirely student-run organization, and our mission is to end food insecurity at UC Davis, and also promote health, fresh food, and ensure that all students have basic needs and necessities. So we have things like toiletries, like shampoo, toilet paper, and all that, not just food. And we are a free resource for all Aggies. So all you need is your ID number, and I'll let you know how to order in just a little bit. But as for our location, we're currently in ME 167, which is next to the marketplace if you've been there. And we are starting renovations soon. So we're going to move back to our old space temporarily. I think they're expecting renovations to end beginning of fall 2021. So, but until then, we will be in our old location, which is in 154, just around the corner from 167. Next slide, please. And then now I'll talk a little bit about our current program. So it's called the Grab and Go. And we're currently operating Monday through Fridays from 11 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. So basically for the non-perishable items, you can find our order form online, which is in our link tree, and that you can find that through our Instagram bio. So you just have to click on that link and you can see what items are available and then like how much of each item is available, and then go ahead and put in your order through there. And then all you have to do is come in to the time that you scheduled to pick up, and then we'll put your bag together. You show us your ID number and your confirmation number, and then you're good to go. So that's for the non-perishable. And then we have perishable items as well throughout the week. And for those ones, you don't need a form. You just come in and you take what you need. And I think they are delivered on Mondays. So the earlier in the week you come, the more variety there should be.
So now that we've gotten a little bit of background on the Pantry and their mission, we're going to start our roundtable style Q&A portion with the Pantry. So we will be asking a couple of questions, and then we're going to open up to all of you in the audience. So if you think of any questions while we're going through this, please put them in the Q&A box below, and the Pantry team will be answering them shortly. So just diving right into it. Nancy, what are your favorite parts about volunteering at the Pantry?
I think for me is connecting with the patrons as well as like the other volunteers and then the team that I work with. So I started, I think like 2 summers ago, working with the Pantry just as a volunteer. and I've met like a lot of wonderful people, and I really enjoy like spending my time there. And so that's how I got to like internships and now my job with the pantry. And yep, I just enjoy both like working on the staff team as well as like volunteering in person.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that like through volunteering you've become more embedded in our UC Davis community. I think that's so great. Um, Moving on to our next question, how do the pantry resources help to reduce the impacts of food insecurity on campus?
Yeah, well, I think since our mission is to end food insecurity at Davis, so we have many different teams like partnership and outreach, which I'm part of. So we really try to spread the word of the resources that we do have, as well as other resources that we found, which you can find in our live doc in the link tree. So by spreading these resources, we hope that students are able to realize that even with like different factors and constraints that they have, like time or like financial issues, they're still able to get basic necessities like food for free, like from Pantry and other resources throughout Davis. And yeah, we try to keep the pantry stocked and open for as long as possible so people can stop by when they're available and grab what they need. Um, yeah, and we also try to put out like additional resources through like social media. So you have things like recipes or like nutrition education, so that like patrons are able to get the food and also like and better understand how they can use the food to help nourish themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, I love how you guys have a plethora of resources and that you're actively pushing them out so people know that they're there and available to them. I think that's great, and it makes it super easy for people to come in and get what they need. So now we're going to be moving on to the audience Q&A section. Specifically for the pantry part, we did mention we have that 15-minute one at the end. That's not for that. This one's for the pantry. So make sure to drop your questions in the Q&A box below right now, and we'll be choosing about 4 questions to answer. So while you guys are typing your questions, we'll play some little background music for about 1 minute. So let us know what's on your mind and what you want to know from Nancy.
Yeah, you can donate items. So we get most of our food from Yola Food Bank, but there's also like a lot of individual donors. And so you can just come in anytime during our open hours, which for this quarter is 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. or 4:30 p.m. And then we'll take those. So I'd appreciate it. And if you follow our social media, so our times kind of change from quarter to quarter, but we usually update the times and the type of program we're going through. Or if anyone has volunteered at the pantry or like been to the pantry before, you can like share your experience with others.
So we do have a question in the Q&A box that says, when's the best time to get perishable food and does it go quick?
Like I think they usually come in on Mondays, like early in the week. So I think the earlier you come in the week, the more foods there will be. And we have like a refrigerator, so we put them in there after. But you know, perishable items do perish over time. So the most popular item, I would say probably one of the staples like rice and like toilet paper, and we have pads as well. Um, yeah, it was just like a little over a year ago, I think. It was in the downstairs basement. And they moved to that 154 and now it's at 167, which is like, yeah, it's really cool. And like the team is growing, like a lot more people are coming to the pantry. It's amazing. No, you do not. So I think we have paper bags right now. So when you come, all you need is your ID number. You don't have to bring the card, and then the confirmation email, which has the order number. So you tell those 2 things to whoever is working, and then they'll put the bag together for you. I think pre-COVID though, you could bring your own bag, but there is also a more of a limit on the items you could get. But we didn't have bags before, but we do now. Yeah, really try to expand from just like food. So we have like all the basic necessities. See what else they have. They have like toothpaste, toothbrushes, like shampoo, conditioner, body wash, floss. Some of those things like kind of come and go depending on the donors, but yeah. Or is there anything you guys would want to see provided at the pantry that you don't already?
Yeah, so we have one more question in the Q&A box. Who started the pantry?
Oh, I believe it was around 10 years ago. So I think this past January was like our 10th anniversary. I don't remember exactly who, but yeah, it's been about a decade now.
Okay, great. It was so nice to hear from all of you in the audience, and it was so great to hear Nancy's answers and talk a little bit more about the pantry. So we'll be moving on, and I'll be passing it off to Roya now.
We hope you enjoyed learning about the pantry. You can all access the pantry's link tree. We're going to put a link in the chat, and then you'll be able to go to all of their social medias. I'll pass it off to Mariah for our closing remarks.
Hi everyone, so we would like to begin wrapping up our workshop by thanking our host, the Manetti Shrem Museum. And we would like to take time to thank all of you today for listening to our collaborators. And we hope that you integrate these activities and nature RX practices into your daily lives. And just to summarize what we discussed here in our workshop today, a few places you all can visit on campus to practice Nature RX are the Arboretum and Public Garden, the Good Life Garden, the Salad Bowl Garden, and the Puda Creek Riparian Reserve. We also encourage you all to really take advantage of the amazing resources provided by each Aggie Matters and the Pantry at UC Davis, which Nancy just talked about. And we encourage you also to all immerse yourselves in nature and take time to be outdoors. For those of you who are not currently on campus, we hope that you explore the Arboretum Public Gardens when you return. And if you are on campus currently, we hope that you take some time to enjoy the Arboretum Public Garden when you have some time available. Remember, spending time in the outdoors can lead to greater mental well-being, reduced stress, positive health outcomes, and increased academic performance, which is really important right now since we're all entering final season. And we invite you all to take a minute and think about what nature RX activities and goals that you all want to accomplish and drop them in the chat below so we can all see it. And for me personally, I really plan to take more study breaks and spend more time outside since I'm usually on my computer the entire day. So speaking of goals, how about you, Michelle? What are some of your goals?
Yeah, I think one big goal for me is just to go on a daily walk. And I really do love walking to the Arboretum. So I'll go there, walk around, do like the whole loop, and then come back, get all my steps in. That's personally for me, my goal. I want to start walking more. But yeah, drop your answers in the chat and we'll be reading through them. We can all inspire each other.
Yeah, that's great, Michelle. Walking is really important. So we hope to hear all of your goals in the chat.
So now moving on, to better plan your next visit to the UC Davis Arboretum and Public Garden, we have some resources here. We have one that states the COVID protocols and general information. So you can scan these QR codes by taking out your phone, going to the camera app and pretending like you're going to take a picture and the link will pop up. If not, Anita is putting these in the chat, so you can just click it there as well.
And before we all go, we would appreciate it if you could take a few minutes to fill out our survey to help us improve our workshop. And Anita will be sending the link in the chat box.
So on behalf of my team and I, we would like to thank you so much for attending and participating. We're so grateful to have met you all and have these kinds of conversations revolving around nature, which we're really excited about. As a reminder, we do have that additional and completely optional 15 minutes to ask any questions that you may have. And if you don't have any further questions and we'll be logging off, again, thank you so much from all of us here and have a great night.